The Mediterranean Sea, 1941. 20 feet below the surface, in water so black it swallows sound itself, Lieutenant Commander Lionel Buster Crabbe feels his way along the barnacle-encrusted hull of an Italian battleship. His fingers bleed. His lungs scream. The rubber suit clings to his skin like a second layer of suffocation, and the primitive oxygen rebreather on his chest gurgles with each desperate breath. He has no light. He cannot have light. Light means death. Above him, through tons of water that press against his eardrums like fists, the Littorio-class battleship sits in Livorno harbor, completely unaware that an enemy diver is less than 3 feet from her steel belly. Crabbe's mission is simple in theory, impossible in execution. Attach a limpet mine to the ship's hull without being seen, heard, or detected by the harbor's acoustic sensors. In pitch darkness. By touch alone. With approximately 4 minutes of air remaining. This is how naval warfare is conducted in 1941. In the dark. Literally and figuratively. The British Royal Navy's Underwater Working Party, soon to become the legendary Special Boat Section, operates in conditions that would make most men quit before they ever entered the water. No diving lights. No visibility aids. No way to see what you're doing. Because the moment you switch on a flashlight underwater, every guard, every patrol boat, every nervous sentry with a rifle will see that glow cutting through the water like a beacon screaming, "Shoot here." Crabbe surfaces that night without completing his mission. The mine slipped from his frozen fingers in the darkness. He lost it somewhere against the hull, fumbling blindly, unable to see his own hands. 2 days later, another diver tries. He doesn't come back. Shot by sentries who saw, or thought they saw, something moving in the water. In a cramped office in Portsmouth, England, Commander John Overy stares at mission reports that all say the same thing. Mission failed due to insufficient visibility. Diver lost in darkness. Unable to locate target. Aborted due to disorientation. "We're sending them down blind," Overy mutters to his second-in-command. "We might as well be sending them down with their eyes closed." "We can't use lights, sir. That's suicide. Then we invent a light that doesn't get them killed." The idea seems impossible. Every underwater light ever created produces a visible glow that can be seen from hundreds of feet away. Even the smallest flashlight beam refracts and scatters through water, creating a luminous cloud that announces a diver's presence like fireworks. The physics are clear. Light underwater equals detection equals death. But Overy isn't a physicist. He's a naval officer who has watched too many good men drown in the dark, fumbling for mines they couldn't see, trying to defuse bombs by touch, cutting wires they couldn't identify. He knows that if Britain is going to win this war beneath the waves, his divers need to see. They need light, but not light that kills them. He calls in Dr. Maurice Hanwell, a specialist in optics and underwater visibility from the National Physical Laboratory. Hanwell arrives expecting a routine consultation. Instead, Overy presents him with an impossible challenge. "I need a diving light that the diver can see, but the enemy cannot." Hanwell laughs. Then realizes Overy isn't joking. "Commander, light doesn't work that way. If you can see it, they can see it. Basic physics. Find a way." "There is no way. You're asking me to violate the fundamental principles of—" "Doctor." Overy's voice drops to a whisper. "We lost 3 men last week. Good men. They drowned because they couldn't see the charges they were trying to place. One of them got tangled in his own safety line in the darkness and panicked. He clawed his rebreather off his own face trying to get free. Do you understand what I'm telling you?" Hanwell goes quiet, then nods slowly. "Give me 2 weeks." Overy gives him 6 days. The breakthrough comes not from genius, but from desperation and a half-remembered lecture about the way human eyes perceive color underwater. Hanwell realizes that water itself filters light, absorbs certain wavelengths while allowing others to pass. Red light, the first to disappear underwater, becomes invisible beyond a few feet. Orange follows. Yellow. Green. But at the far end of the visible spectrum, something interesting happens. Deep blue light. Almost violet. The kind of light that sits right on the edge of what human eyes can detect. Hanwell builds the first prototype in a laboratory sink, using naval surplus equipment and filters stolen from a theatrical lighting company. The light produces a strange, ghostly blue-violet glow that seems to hover in the water without traveling. In the sink, you can see it clearly if you're standing right next to it. From 5 feet away, it vanishes. He tests it in a swimming pool at midnight. Stands at one end with the light submerged. Sends an assistant to the other end. Can you see anything? Nothing, sir. Wait, is there something glowing? I can't tell if I'm seeing it or imagining it. Perfect. The light works on a principle Hanwell will later describe as selective wavelength illumination with limited refraction propagation. But the divers will call it something simpler, the ghost light. Because when you're underwater with it, you can see everything clearly in its eerie blue glow. But from more than 15 feet away, the light simply doesn't exist. The wavelength is too specific, too narrow, absorbed too quickly by seawater to propagate. It's like having a flashlight that only works for you. Uvri sees the demonstration and immediately orders 40 units. Then stops, thinks, realizes something terrible. If this works, it changes everything. That's the idea, sir. No. You don't understand. Every navy will want this. Every nation will demand we share the technology. And when they have it, when everyone has it, the advantage disappears. Worse, it makes underwater warfare visible. Right now, both sides are blind. We make this standard, and suddenly every harbor becomes a killing ground. Divers lighting up other divers. Underwater firefights. It'll be a massacre. Hanwell hadn't considered this. Neither had the engineers. They'd been so focused on solving the problem, they hadn't thought about what happens when everyone solves it. What are you saying, Commander? I'm saying this technology is so dangerous, someone will try to ban it. Just like poison gas. Just like exploding bullets. There are rules to warfare, Doctor. Invisible underwater lights that let you kill blind men? That might cross a line. But our men need it now. I know. Uvri makes a decision that will haunt him for the rest of his life. He classifies the Ghost Light project as top secret, limited distribution. Only a handful of divers will receive the lights. Only the most critical missions. The technology will be protected, hidden, never photographed, never mentioned in reports. Because if the enemy discovers it, they'll either copy it or call for it to be outlawed as inhumane. The first operational Ghost Light goes to Lieutenant Commander Crabb in March 1942. He takes it down to the same harbor in Livorno, to the same battleship he failed to mine in the darkness months before. This time he can see. The hull appears before him in ghostly blue clarity, every rivet, every seam, every perfect place to attach a mine. His hands move with precision instead of desperate fumbling. He places 2 limpet mines in under 3 minutes. Surfaces. Swims away. Behind him, invisible to the sentries who stare at the dark water, 2 delayed fuses tick silently in the blue light that no one else can see. The Littorio sinks at dawn. The Italian Navy blames a mechanical failure. They never find evidence of sabotage because they never knew anyone was there. The Ghost Light has claimed its first victim and changed warfare forever. By the summer of 1942, rumors begin spreading through Axis naval bases across the Mediterranean. Ships are sinking. Not from torpedoes. Not from aircraft. From something else. Something invisible. Italian sailors whisper about fantasmi dell'acqua, water ghosts. German naval intelligence intercepts reports of impossible sabotage, charges placed on ships in harbors with full security, sentries on high alert, searchlights sweeping the water every 30 seconds. And yet, somehow, divers are getting through. In Gibraltar, the special boat section now has 12 ghost lights. 12 men who can see in the dark. 12 divers who move through the underwater world like predators with night vision in a forest of blind prey. They don't just place mines anymore. They cut anchor chains. They sabotage rudders. They attach tracking devices to U-boat hulls. They do things that should be impossible, things that require precision, time, and most of all, the ability to see what you're doing. Lieutenant Bill Bailey takes his ghost light into Algiers harbor in August 1942 with a mission that seems suicidal. Disable 3 Italian transport ships without being detected, and do it in less than 20 minutes. The harbor is lit by floodlights. Guard boats patrol every 60 seconds. Sentries with rifles stand on the docks, their eyes scanning the water. Bailey knows that one wrong move, one visible splash, one glimpse of light, and he's dead. He slips into the water at 0200 hours. The ghost light activates with a faint click. No visible beam, no glow that reaches the surface, just a sphere of eerie blue illumination that extends about 10 feet in every direction. To Bailey, underwater world transforms. He can see the hulls of the transport ships like monuments in fog. He can see the anchor chains. He can see his own hands, his tools, the placement of each charge. Above him, a guard boat passes directly overhead. The sentries shine spotlights into the water. Bailey freezes, holding his breath, watching the white beams slice through the darkness above him. But his ghost light remains invisible to them. The wavelength doesn't carry. They see nothing. The boat moves on. Bailey places his charges methodically. First ship, 2 limpet mines on the keel, right where the structural stress is greatest. Second ship, 1 mine on the propeller shaft, another on the rudder assembly. Third ship, 3 charges along the waterline, timed to blow in sequence. 14 minutes. All 3 ships rigged. He surfaces 300 yards away, behind a fishing boat, and swims slowly back to the extraction point. The explosions come at dawn. 3 ships settling into the harbor floor within minutes of each other. The Italian Navy orders an immediate investigation. They find the mines. They find the placement. They calculate the precision required. And they reach a terrifying conclusion. Someone can see underwater. German naval intelligence officer Captain Lieutenant Hans Meyer receives the report in his office in Palermo. He reads it 3 times, then calls his superior. "Sir, the Italians believe the British have developed some kind of underwater visibility device." "Impossible. We've analyzed every piece of British diving equipment we've captured. Standard rebreathers. Standard suits. Nothing unusual. Then how are they placing mines with this level of accuracy? In the dark? In harbors with full security? Practice. Training. Experience. Sir, one of the charges was placed within 2 centimeters of a weld seam, a structural weak point invisible from the surface. In complete darkness. With sentries watching. That's not skill. That's technology." Meyer gets authorization to investigate. He starts collecting reports from every Axis harbor where sabotage has occurred. The pattern becomes undeniable. British divers are operating with a level of precision that should be impossible in zero visibility conditions. They're avoiding obstacles they shouldn't be able to see. They're placing charges in locations that require visual inspection. They're cutting specific cables, sabotaging specific components, making surgical strikes instead of blind attempts. Meyer writes a classified memo that will later become infamous. The enemy possesses underwater illumination technology that grants operational advantage without detection. Request immediate counterintelligence operation to identify and acquire this technology. The Germans start hunting for the ghost light. But Commander Uvry has predicted this. Every diver who uses a ghost light operates under strict protocols. Never surface with the light. Never leave it on a target. Never, under any circumstances, allow the device to be captured. If capture is imminent, the diver is instructed to smash the light against rocks, destroy the internal components, and scatter the pieces. Several divers carry small thermite charges specifically designed to melt the light into slag. In October 1942, a British diver named Thomas Clark is cornered in Taranto harbor. He's completed his mission, sabotaging an Italian cruiser, but a patrol boat spots his air bubbles during his exit. They drop depth charges. Clark is disoriented, injured, bleeding from his ears. He surfaces, gasping, and Italian sailors drag him aboard the patrol boat. He's carrying his diving equipment, his tools, and, strapped to his wrist, the ghost light. Clark does exactly what he was trained to do. As the Italians pull him onto the deck, he smashes the light against the steel gunwale with all his remaining strength. Once, twice, 3 times. The casing cracks. The internal components shatter. By the time the Italians realize what he's destroying, it's too late. They're left holding pieces of broken glass, shattered circuitry, and a bent metal housing that tells them nothing. Clark dies in an Italian POW camp 6 months later. He never tells them what the device was. Under interrogation, under torture, under promises of leniency, he says the same thing every time. It's a depth gauge. Just a depth gauge. The Italians don't believe him, but they can't prove otherwise. The pieces of the ghost light reveal nothing. No intact lenses. No identifiable filters. Just wreckage. But the Italians know what they saw. Clark was smashing something important. Something he considered worth destroying even when captured. Something the British desperately don't want them to have. The intelligence report reaches Meyer within a week. British diver destroyed unidentified optical device before capture. Device believed to be underwater illumination system. No intact samples recovered. Meyer makes a decision that will escalate the underwater war to a new level. If the British have underwater lights, Germany will develop countermeasures. He orders research into underwater detection systems specifically designed to identify artificial light sources. He authorizes the development of German underwater lighting technology, reverse-engineered from theory alone since they have no samples. And he issues a directive to all German naval bases. All sentries are to watch for unusual luminescence in harbor waters. Any glow, any light, any unexplained illumination is to be treated as hostile action. Authorization to fire on contact without warning. The underwater war just became visible and lethal. By December 1942, the Special Boat Section starts losing men. Divers who would have been invisible 6 months ago are now being spotted, engaged, killed. The Germans have adapted. They're using underwater microphones to track diver movements. They're deploying new types of sonar. They're putting more guards on more ships with orders to shoot at anything suspicious. And somewhere in a secret facility in Kiel, German engineers are building their own version of the ghost light. They don't have the original specifications. They don't have access to British research. But they have the same basic physics, the same understanding of light wavelengths, and the same desperation to see underwater without being seen. The ghost light technology is about to escape into the world. And when it does, the rules of naval warfare will change forever. In his office in Portsmouth, Commander Uvry receives intelligence reports about German research into underwater illumination. He reads them quietly, then puts his head in his hands. "It's spreading," he tells Dr. Hanwell. "Exactly what we feared. Once one side has it, everyone races to get it. And once everyone has it, underwater warfare becomes mutual slaughter," Hanwell finishes. "The Americans are asking questions too. They've heard rumors. They want to know if we have special diving equipment they don't know about. How long before we have to share it with our allies? How long before the Japanese capture one? How long before this becomes standard technology that every navy in the world possesses? Maybe that's not the worst thing. Maybe if everyone can see, the advantage disappears and things go back to normal. Normal. Uvri laughs bitterly. Doctor, right now both sides are mostly blind underwater. That limits what's possible. It limits the killing. But you give everyone the ability to see in the dark, to hunt each other clearly, and you don't get balance. You get escalation. You get underwater firefights. You get divers hunting divers. You get a whole new dimension of warfare that didn't exist before. So what do? We pray someone outlaws it before it gets worse. But no one is going to outlaw it. Because in 1942, the world is too busy fighting to worry about the ethics of underwater warfare. The ghost light is operational. It's spreading. And the first real underwater combat between divers who can actually see each other is just months away. Toulon Harbor, southern France. February 1943. 3:15 in the morning. The water is 52 degrees Fahrenheit and black as oil. Lieutenant Robert Evans descends into it with a ghost light strapped to his left forearm and a Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife strapped to his right thigh, a weapon he has never expected to use underwater, a weapon that wasn't supposed to be necessary, because enemy divers aren't supposed to be able to find you in the dark. But tonight, everything is different. Evans's mission is straightforward. Sabotage the French battleship Strasbourg, scuttled by the French Navy to keep it from German hands but now being salvaged by German engineers. British intelligence wants it destroyed permanently. Evans carries 4 limpet mines, enough high explosive to crack the ship's keel beyond repair. He's done this mission profile 17 times in the last 9 months. He's good at it. Methodical. Professional. Alive. He activates his ghost light at 20 feet. The eerie blue glow illuminates the underwater landscape, twisted metal, sunken debris, the massive dark shadow of the Strasbourg ahead. He swims toward it with practiced efficiency, checking his compass, his depth gauge, his watch. 8 minutes to place the mines. 10 minutes to exit the harbor. Extraction at 0345. Everything by the numbers. Then he sees the other light. At first, Evans thinks he's seeing things. A reflection. His own light bouncing off metal. But no, there, 30 feet ahead, another blue glow. Faint. Wavering. Moving. Another diver. Evans freezes. His heart hammers against his rebreather. His mind races through the possibilities. Maybe it's another British operative, a backup team he wasn't briefed on. Maybe it's French resistance. Maybe it's... The other diver turns. Evans sees the silhouette. The distinctive shape of a German Draeger rebreather. The different cut of the diving suit. And strapped to the other diver's arm, their own ghost light, slightly different in color. More violet than blue, but unmistakably the same technology. 4-5 seconds, both men simply stare at each other through the water. 2 predators suddenly aware they're not alone in the darkness. 2 ghosts seeing each other for the first time. Then the German reaches for his knife. Evans has less than 2 seconds to make a decision that will determine whether he lives or dies. Fight or flee. Engage or abort. Kill or be killed. Every instinct screams at him to swim away, to disappear into the darkness, to abandon the mission and survive. But he knows that if he flees, the German will raise the alarm. The harbor will lock down. The Strasbourg will be protected. Every future operation will be compromised. He draws his knife. What happens next will later be described in classified reports as the first recorded instance of underwater combat between equipped divers utilizing mutual visibility technology. But to Evans, in that moment, it's nothing but terror and confusion and the desperate need to survive. The German swims toward him fast, knife extended, bubbles streaming from his rebreather. Evans sidesteps, or tries to, but moving in water isn't like moving on land. His reaction is too slow. The German's knife slashes past his shoulder, missing by inches. Evans counterstabs, aiming for the rebreather, hoping to rupture the oxygen supply. His knife connects with something. Rubber, metal, he can't tell, and the German recoils. They circle each other in the ghost light's glow, two men fighting in a medium where every movement is slow motion, where you can't scream, can't breathe hard, can't do anything except move with agonizing deliberateness while your lungs burn and your vision tunnels and your muscles scream for oxygen they're not getting fast enough. The German feints left, then lunges right. Evans sees it coming but can't react fast enough. The knife catches his diving suit, slices through the rubber, pierces flesh. Pain explodes in his side, hot and immediate even in the freezing water. Evans grabs the German's wrist, pulls him close, drives his own knife upward into the space between the rebreather harness and the diver's chest. The blade punches through rubber, through flesh, into something vital. The German's eyes go wide behind his mask. His mouth opens in a scream that comes out as bubbles. His ghost light flickers. He thrashes, pulling away, and Evans's knife comes free slick with blood that looks black in the blue light. The German diver spins, disoriented, clutching his chest. His rebreather is leaking. Air bubbles stream from the puncture. He kicks wildly, ascending too fast, breaking every rule of decompression, but he's dying and he knows it and he just wants to breathe real air one more time. Evans watches him go. Watches the German break the surface 40 feet above, watches the commotion as harbor guards spot him, hear him screaming, pull him aboard a patrol boat. Watches spotlights ignite across the harbor, sweeping the water, searching for other intruders. The mission is blown. The harbor is alert. Evans has maybe 90 seconds before the entire French coast knows there's a British diver in the water. He makes another split-second decision. Instead of fleeing, he swims toward the Strasbourg. If he's going to abort, he's going to leave the Germans something to think about. He reaches the hull in 40 seconds, slaps 2 limpet mines onto the keel, not enough to sink her, but enough to cause serious damage, sets the timers for 10 minutes, and swims like hell toward the harbor mouth. Above him, patrol boats crisscross the water. Depth charges begin to drop. The first one explodes 100 yards to his left, the pressure wave slamming into him like a fist, rattling his teeth, crushing his chest. His ghost light flickers. Blood streams from his side wound, leaving a dark trail in the water. His vision grays. He's losing oxygen too fast, bleeding too much, panicking too hard. He surfaces behind a breakwater, gasping, tearing his rebreather mouthpiece out, gulping freezing air. 200 yards to the extraction point. The patrol boats are converging. Searchlights are everywhere. He hears German voices shouting, gunfire cracking across the water. Then, behind him, the limpet mines detonate. The Strasbourg shudders. A geyser of water and debris erupts from her side. Alarms wail. The patrol boats turn toward the explosion, leaving a brief gap in their search pattern. Evans swims through it, every stroke agony, his vision fading, his body shutting down. He reaches the extraction point at 0347, 2 minutes late. The submarine is still there, waiting, the deck crew pulling him aboard with desperate urgency. He collapses on the deck, bleeding, hypothermic, barely conscious. Target? Someone asks. Damaged. Not destroyed. There was another diver. German. They have the lights. They have our lights. The submarine crash dives. Evans is carried below. A medic starts working on his stab wound, but Evans keeps talking, delirious, insistent. They can see. Do you understand? They can see now. Both sides can see. It's not going to be covert anymore. It's going to be war. Real war. Underwater. The medic gives him morphine. Evans goes quiet. The report reaches Commander Overy 36 hours later. He reads it twice, then walks to the window of his office and stares out at the gray Atlantic. Dr. Hanwell finds him there an hour later. "You heard?" Overy asks. "I heard. The Germans have reverse-engineered the ghost light, or developed their own version. Either way, the technology is no longer exclusive. It was bound to happen. We knew it would happen. But I'd hoped we'd have more time. What happens now?" Overy turns from the window. His face looks 10 years older than it did a month ago. Now every navy in the world will want this technology. The Americans, the Russians, the Japanese, everyone. And once everyone has it, underwater warfare stops being about stealth and sabotage. It becomes about combat. Diver versus diver. Underwater firefights. Knife fights in the dark that aren't dark anymore. We've opened something, Doctor. Something we can't close. Should we stop using the lights? Give up the advantage. Give it up to whom? The Germans already have it. If we stop, we're blind again while they can see. No. We have to keep using them. We have to train our men for underwater combat. We have to accept that this is the new reality. Then the light wasn't outlawed. We've made it standard. Not standard. Not yet. But inevitable. 3 months later, the United States Navy formally requests access to British underwater illumination technology. 2 months after that, the Soviets capture a German diver carrying a ghost light variant near Sevastopol. By the summer of 1943, 4 nations possess the technology. By 1944, 6. By the end of the war, it will be common knowledge, standard equipment, and the subject of classified research programs in a dozen countries. The ghost light has escaped, and the underwater warfare it enables, brutal, close quarters, knife-fighting hell in the depths, has become the new normal. Lieutenant Robert Evans survives his wounds. He returns to duty 6 months later. On his first mission back, he encounters another enemy diver in the darkness. They see each other in the blue glow. They both raise their knives. They both know how this ends. Evans kills him. It takes 43 seconds. It feels like an eternity. After the war, Evans will be asked if using the ghost light was worth it. If the advantage justified the escalation. If seeing in the dark was worth making the dark visible to everyone. He'll think about that German diver in Toulon. The one he killed. The one who bled out in the blue light. And he'll say, "We didn't outlaw the technology. We couldn't. Once it existed, once it worked, once we knew it was possible, there was no going back. We changed warfare. Made it deadlier. More personal. More brutal. And we did it because we had no choice. Because the enemy would have done it anyway. Because in war, you use every advantage or you die." But should it have been outlawed? The interviewer will ask. Evans will be quiet for a long time. Then he'll say, "Yes, probably. Along with half the other things we invented to kill each other better."